Hi, I'm Kat Burns and I'm great company.
Hello people, welcome back to Great Company Podcast. If you're an OG, welcome back. If you're new to the show, this is a great episode to come to because we have Kat Burns on the show. Kat Burns is an artist, she's a singer, she's an amazing person in so many different ways. I'm so excited to talk to her today. I've been a huge fan of her and her music for so long. She's neurodiverse like me, so hopefully we're going to connect over that. And she's about to come in to the office to record me in the studio. So this today is going to be a great episode. Now, if you haven't subscribed to our show already, please do. You can just click this button here. It does us wonders. I cannot tell you. And let us know what you think of the show in all of the comments and things like that. Okay, enjoy this episode of Great Company with Kat Burns.
Do you ever get nervous about podcasting or go on stage or anything like that?
I get nervous for any sort of social interaction outside of singing. So if I'm on stage, I'm like, fine. But I'll be thinking about, oh my God, who's going to be in my dressing room after the show that I'm going to have to speak to, that I don't know, that I'm going to have to do some small talk with, that I don't want to do.
But hang on a second, podcasting is just small talk. So
No, it's not. You can get deep.
okay,
You can find a way to get deep.
So that's so interesting.
Yeah, I'm just not. I'm an ADHD autistic girl. I need deep conversation. Or
I'm like that.
Do you have ADHD?
I have ADHD, yeah, but I didn't really relate it to that.
Yeah, I can't do the small talk. That's why I struggle in like events, because most of the time everyone's sort of looking through each other, not really having actual conversations. It's just sort of like, hi, you're right. And then just, you can't really get to the nitty gritty of anything. So I end up just not really saying anything because I'm like, well, there's no point me opening my mouth and saying anything because nobody's trying to have a proper conversation here.
But explain that to me deeper, because what you feel, the lack of connection, you feel that small talk isn't where you're going to connect, or more you, with small talk in those social situations, you don't know, you freeze almost, you don't really know what to say.
I have absolutely no idea what to say after, hey, how are you? I just sort of go,
come on. Let's try it together. Ready? So we'll pretend we're at an event. Here we're going to do some role play.
okay, all right then.
So by the way, I'm your therapist. So.
All right. All right. This is my idea of hell on earth.
Okay, we're going to try it, right?
All right.
Because the way to get through things is exposing yourself.
All right, then.
Okay, here we go. Right.
I'm sweating. That's really nervous. Okay. Oh my God. Okay, I'm ready. All right, let's go. I'm ready.
I meant to make our guests really comfortable, and what I've done is just pushed you further more uncomfortable. Yeah. By the way, I'm just going to make you more uncomfortable.
No, it's okay. I can do it. I'm literally 24. I need to know how to speak.
Okay, you ready? Hey, are you Kat Burns?
I am, yeah. I am, yeah. Hello.
Hey, so I love your music. I love what you do. Do you like what you do?
Yeah.
Yeah. See, it was good. There we go.
That wasn't good at all.
That was quite good.
I learnt though.
Okay, yeah.
I had a friend and she said, if you ever meet somebody and they tell you they like your music, just have a little script and just say like, oh, thank you. What's your name? Said person will tell me their name. Mm-hmm. I'll instantly forget because I cannot remember someone's name after about after it's like the fifth time. I'll remember your name.
Yeah, I'm the same.
So I usually go, thank you so much. What's your name? Have a nice day.
In that order, that's what...
If they say other things that fall out of that script for me, then I'll just sort of go,
okay, but then...
amazing.
But then, fine, whenever I said to you, said, hey, I'm Jamie, you're Kat Burns, okay, you do music, I love that. What do you think the meaning of life is?
Oh, that's fab.
But see, that is mad.
That to
most
me
people.
is absolutely fabulous. I love it.
Okay, so this is brilliant. So the small talk, hey, how are you, sort of which most individuals, I suppose, that meaningless conversation, right? Mm-hmm. Which is like fluff. Mm-hmm. That's quite tricky. But actually, if I was to say to you, what's the meaning of life? Or do you believe in God? Or what is really love? You'd be straight in there.
Yeah, that to me is just like, oh, we're about to have a really beautiful conversation, which is why I think people mistake... a lot of neurodivergent people always get told that they're flirting, when really I'm just looking at you and asking you a deeper question and care about what you're saying to me, rather than just being like, oh, la, 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 la. I actually want to know. Or usually, like, I'll ask a really deep question to someone, make them contemplate their whole existence, and then just frolic away into the distance.
Kat, you've just honestly opened up a whole light for me about my life.
That's what I do.
No, but I'm not even kidding you. This is exactly what I'm like. So, just a little. By the way, this podcast you can interview me. I guess this
I
is.
will.
Okay, good. This is about me now. So, I growing up, hectic kid, right? All those different things. Got sort of diagnosed in a way with ADHD. Kind of forgot it. Recently, got re-diagnosed because I wanted to understand it a little bit more.
What do you mean you got re-diagnosed?
Well, I went to when I was younger. I went to a doctor who sort of said, yes, you have ADHD, but it wasn't a thorough check. Recently, I went and had a thorough check.
Okay.
And the sort of idea I got back was, you're off the scale type thing. And so,
gosh.
yeah, and I was like, okay, brilliant. What do I do with that? They offered medication. I said, I don't want to take medication because I've been 36 years without it. But what you're saying just then is so interesting because I love going deep with people.
Mm-hmm.
It does something to my body, to my heart, to my endorphins, to something, I don't know what it is. And you're saying exactly the same thing, but we're saying that's an ADHD thing.
It is. I think it's just like a desire to have, like, I really, as much as people scare me, I do also love them and I want to connect with people. And even if I am never going to see that person again, I would love for every interaction I have with someone to be meaningful or not have the interaction really at all. I just find it hard. I don't like the fluff, which is why my mum will always be like, you're really nosy. Like I'll meet someone new and I'll come home and I'll be like, yeah, so they told me this, and all their childhood trauma. And she'll be like, how did you find that out? And I'm like, I just asked because I wanted to know.
I love that.
Thank you.
No, it's amazing. And I think that's so important. I love the fact that you want to connect with people. The reason I started this podcast is because it was about connection.
Yeah.
And I feel like in a world where we're losing that connection because of devices and social media and stuff like that, it was about reconnecting in that space.
Yeah. Because you never know what you're going to end up speaking about.
Do you find it easier to connect with strangers or people close to you?
People close to me.
Really? I sometimes find it easier to connect with strangers. I can be more vulnerable sometimes with strangers. That's why with the podcast, I can be more vulnerable for some reason. If it's a friend coming on the podcast, I find it harder to be vulnerable.
Really?
Yeah, it's a weird one.
I think because if you're a close friend of mine, we would have unlocked different levels of the friendship. We would have spoken about really deep things and you would have experienced a level of my life with me. Whereas a stranger, actually, what the hell am I talking about? I'm such an oversharer with anyone, actually. If you ask me the right question, I'll tell you my whole life story and every sort of single trauma I've ever had in my life and be completely fine with doing that. So actually, I can open up to anyone. Actually, I can open up to my friends and or a stranger. So I told you a lie.
Do you ever get regret from oversharing?
Only if that person didn't overshare back. If I meet someone
laughing in the corner.
If I meet someone new and they ask me a question and I've told them every single thing that's happened to me in my life and then they just kind of go, oh, okay. And then the interaction's over, then I'm like, hold on now, that person just knows everything about me and they didn't share one thing. I find people like that really scary. If
I feel so used.
Yeah. I feel like you know now so much about me. I just find people that don't share things scary.
Yeah, same.
I find you really frightening.
I just honestly, I feel like I'm not just saying. I feel like it's so connected on you on this, so connected. The reason why I have this other podcast where I just share everything because I'm I have nothing to hide. I don't care about what you think of me. I do care about because I'm a people pleaser, and I know you have that as well.
Recovering,
same. I think we're always going to be recovering.
Yes,
but actually, I also don't mind what I share. I don't mind what I share because I'm like you. I think we're good people. We have a good heart, and we're after good things. Mm-hmm. So sharing the ups, the downs, the left, and the rights of life is a beautiful thing.
But I think that might be because, to a certain degree, you've done the work on that, not carrying any shame with any of the things that have happened to you or that have occurred in your life. Because I think if something is if I had a super traumatic moment in my life or so many experiences that I really struggle to speak about, I might just never want to share them because I haven't yet unpacked it properly within myself. Whereas I'm able to talk about next to anything because I've already unpacked it, which is why sometimes it can seem emotionless when I speak about it, because I'm just like, yeah, so this happened to me, and people are like, what? And I'm like, yeah. But I think because I've done the work already and I'm like, yeah, this happened, I've carried the guilt or the shame with it, and then I've let it go, and I've done the work on myself to forgive myself for everything that's happened. I'm happy to share because it doesn't define me.
Is there an area that there is a no-go zone area for you?
To be honest with you, no. It's just mainly like, I think as an artist, some things are good to just be left as ambiguity.
Explain that. What do you mean?
I just think I'm so much of an oversharer. So sometimes my team will be like, you don't have to share. People don't need to know that about you. Whereas I would just yap away. So I think, especially with social media, there's this idea, especially with musicians now, where fans want to know everything about artists. Yeah. Whereas back in the day, that wasn't the case. It was the music. So sometimes I have to just remind myself, like, what I'm doing is, I'm an artist. I want to share what I love, and that's the music, and talk about things that I want to talk about that I feel like is relevant to the music that I make. But then there are some things that people don't need to know, you know?
Is there a way, do you think, that as an artist, you almost don't want to share too much? Because if you share too much, then the mystery is kind of taken away. But also, is there an advantage for sharing everything, because then there is no mystery and then your fan base feel much closer to you? Is there a fine line that you shouldn't cross?
Yeah, I think that I found the balance is the songs itself. I'm very vulnerable and honest in the songs that I make. So then people feel like they know me through my songs. And then what I decide to share online will be just general random thoughts I have about life that other people seem to have too, which will make people feel even more connected to me. But then I just think there's certain aspects of my life that I've learned over time don't need to be shared, because then people's opinions can form their way in, and evil eye exists, you know. People could be wishing bad on you, whereas if you don't share the certain elements, then no one can wish bad on what they don't know.
Like, what are we talking? What have you shared that you were just like,
I don't know, Jamie. Just like, people, there are people that wish bad on people.
No, there's not.
There are.
Yeah, there's not.
There are people sitting at home going, I don't want that person to succeed, and I don't want to give them any reason to do that.
Why would anyone want to wish bad on you in any way? There's no ways.
Because in school, I generally got along with everyone. Okay. Most people liked me, but there would be just a select few that decided they didn't like me for whatever reason. And I would sense it. I would walk in and I'd go, I know they don't like me. And I would really like them to, but I don't know what I could do to make them like me. They just didn't like me. They didn't like my nature. And those ones were the ones that I knew would wish bad on me. I knew it. When I applied for Brit School, they said, oh, what, you think you're really going to get in there? I thought... I thought maybe.
No, I was just doing it for fun.
Maybe, I don't know. I know that they're wishing bad upon me, so I don't give them a reason to. I believe it. We're all connected.
I thought I was going to get in.
Imagine I didn't. No, exactly. Imagine I didn't get in. Luckily I did, but I knew they were wishing I didn't.
How did you know that these people at school didn't like you? You just feel the vibe.
I can just tell. I can just tell, like... I'm a massive observer.
Okay.
Like, as much as I'm an oversharer and a yapper, depending on the situation, I'm also a massive people watcher. And before I yap, I observe the environment I'm in to make sure it's safe enough. And I just like to know, like, who I'm dealing with and, like, what their mannerisms are. So if I can walk into a space... and I can just sense by the person's energy how they're looking at me when they think I'm not looking, and just like certain vibes that they give off where I'm like, you don't really like me.
Really?
Yeah.
That can be a dangerous thing as well, right? Because it's exhausting in some ways, because you're constantly analysing situations the whole time and seeing where you stand and how you feel and what's going on there.
Oh yeah, I think that is also down to having ADHD and autism and finding people generally confusing and wanting to understand them in the deepest way possible. So when I go into spaces, I'm just always on high alert because I'm just very like aware of how I'm very conscious of being perceived. So I'm just aware of everything, and then I'm perceiving other people because I'm like, what are they? It's a whole thing.
Was it easy for you to make friends growing up?
People around me would probably say yes. They would be like, if I said no.
Because I would say you're such easy company. No, but I'm being completely honest, not to try and buddy you up.
Mm-hmm.
I would say it's very easy company for me.
Thank you.
I don't know how it is for you, but for me it is. And I imagine that's probably what you're saying there is that for you, people would say, yeah, but for you, it feels more of an effort because they don't know internally what's going on.
Yes. In a non-cocky, annoying way, people like me. But as I got older, I was like, but do I like them? Do I enjoy the conversation that I'm having? I think so much of being a people pleaser as well is like everything to do with other people. And I'm always trying to make sure other people feel safe and comfortable to speak to me. And because I guess growing up, I never felt that safety within myself. So I wanted to always make everyone feel safe around me. So then it's not until I've gotten older where I'm like, okay, this person likes me. Even with dating, it might be, oh, this person likes me, but do I like them? In school, I particularly would make it my mission if there was a quiet person to befriend said quiet person. Because I was just like, they're probably the funniest in the room. Because they're the ones that like say things under their breath that no one else hears, but I will. And I just was like, I want to befriend the quiet people. I just wanted to be friends with everyone, but I was a bit of a floater.
That's amazing that you had that. You had that sense of caring and empathy in your life. Your dad wasn't around.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah. I mean, like, not really.
So what was the relation there? Because your mum's your kind of rock, I imagine, right?
She's my queen.
Yeah.
She's the queen of my existence. I didn't have the best relationship with my dad. And he passed away 4 years ago.
Wow.
Christmas Day. Which is why I think, slightly a tangent, but still within topic, I think people who experience grief are one of the most loving people you could meet, because we know the fragility of life and how important it is to love people when they're there. And it's a sad club to be a part of, but it's a beautiful one as well, because we've learnt the price we pay for love. But it's nice because my mum, I can do random things and my mum will be like, you know, your dad did that exact same thing, like down to how I moisturize my face, or like I can personify anything. I could do anything. Like I've got my imagination is so like.
What do you mean you could personify
I could be driving and a random pedestrian just like crosses the street. I'll give them a random name. I've given them a backstory. I've been like, why have you done that, Janine? Why? What's your problem? Or like, I can personify I can build a story.
You can build a world around anything and anyone.
Exactly. And that's something that he would do. And he was always the life and soul of he would be the one giving advice to everybody and doing all of these things. But he wasn't able to provide that to his family.
How old were you when he wasn't around?
But they split up when I was 7 and divorced when I was 9.
Same thing. My parents divorced when I was around. Yeah, split up 7, 8, divorced. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a tricky time. As an individual, not just the divorce time. Obviously, that's tricky, but in terms of growth, it's a real sort of precious time, I think, because you're still in that stage where I found that it's like parents are everything. And then suddenly that separates. You're a bit like, well, the world's pretty scary because what's happening here? And you don't really understand it as well. So I didn't process it very well.
Right.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I really didn't process it at all well.
I think the difference there is I was happy. I was like, oh, thank God. I can just be me, my mum and my sister. We can just frolic around. This is vibes.
Wow.
Yeah, I was like, the vibes in this house are not good. So once he was gone, I was like, oh, yes. It's the truth.
Yeah, I mean, that's an amazing truth. And
I was like, yeah, I mean, naturally.
But explain that. So what were the vibes in the house before?
It wasn't a good environment. I think
hostile, anything like that?
Yeah, I think he was just, again, as an adult, and once I've unpacked it in therapy, I just think he's probably, well, neurodivergency is paternal. So he most probably had ADHD and or autism. And I think he just had a lot of sensory overload. He wasn't able to regulate his emotions that well. And I think when you're in the household receiving that, that can make you, well, that's what made me quite an anxious child.
Wow.
So then when he was out, I was like, oh, thank goodness.
Wow.
And then as I got older, you unpack, you develop, you start to seek connection. And I think I was really boy crazy when I was a teen, which is crazy because I am a gigantic lesbian. But I was really boy crazy when I was a teenager. And even now thinking about it, it's probably because I was trying to seek a male love. And then as I got older and, lockdown happened and you unpack things, I was like, I've got males in my life that I love. I've always had boy best friends throughout my life. So I'm like, I've got the males in my life that I love. I've got that. I don't actually like any of these. I don't like them. I don't fancy them. I don't want to be with them. And then when he passed away, that was when the real growth happened, because it was like, you can place blame and put anger on a person whilst they're still alive. But when they're not, it's just like you're smacking something at the wall and it comes straight back at you.
Totally.
And
that's dangerous.
Yeah, exactly. So I had to really unpack and forgive myself and forgive him, and lots of active imagination where I just kind of close my eyes and think about my past and reassure inner child stuff and like really do the work.
Okay, I don't want to get too. And if I'm going too far, please push back. And
I'm an oversharer.
Fine, and I want to be respectful as well. But what I'm gauging is that perhaps your father, the household wasn't a pleasant household to be living in. Maybe anger and aggression and things like that. Or
but again, after doing the work, I'm like, you were just probably really undiagnosed neurodivergent, and it doesn't justify it. But I think when you have context and once you've forgiven someone and yourself, it's easier to look back and be like, yeah, you were just probably really unregulated. Didn't know how to deal with your own emotions and took that out on the people closest to you, who are in close proximity to you. And I learned from that time, from my childhood, when I think back to it, I'm like, as much as my dad wasn't great, I'm like, but I also had a mum who was really great. And I've started just taking control of my brain a little bit more and being like, well, maybe I'm going to pick things from my childhood that I actually want to take with me and keep, and let go of the things that I don't. I had a really great mum who acted like a mum and a dad. She did the best that she could. So funny, made me feel so safe. I can cry to her all the time. There's so much love that I did have, and now I've got the tools to be able to look back and be like, I'm going to take this and this and this and just leave the faff, because that doesn't serve me. I've unpacked it. I've healed from it. I've forgiven myself, forgiven him, so I don't need to.
That's beautiful.
Thank you.
No, that really is. It's an amazing way to be, and yeah, I always live by a sort of rule, which is I don't know, I can't remember where the quote comes from, but it's seeking revenge is like drinking poison and wanting the other person to die.
Yes.
It only hurts yourself.
Yep.
And as much as it's painful to try to forgive and let go, we must try and do that in life.
Forgiveness is for yourself. I think the same
Totally.
with resentment as well. Like when I've learned, or my idea of resentment is that person is just, again, a mirror for all of the times where you didn't acknowledge your own like boundaries. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So if you're in a toxic relationship, again, not an abusive physically or something like that, that's, that person has got their own things that they're going through and should not take that out on you. But I think if you're just in kind of a toxic-y relationship and you've got loads of resentment, I think that's just a mirror of like, every time you look at them, it's a reminder that you neglected your own boundaries or you didn't show yourself that respect that you needed to. And every time you look at them, you're like, oh, it's just a reminder of that. So when you forgive yourself and shed this, I think most of life is about surrendering to it. And the resistance is what causes us to be ill and not be okay. When you just surrender to everything happening, life becomes so much easier to manage.
But that's so much harder to do as well. It's so funny.
It is.
Do you know what I find so strange? Is it's like, I think as humans, I think it's like an evolutionary thing, which is like we always thought the saber-toothed tiger was out there, so survival, always be scared. The stick breaking behind you in the middle of the night isn't, your neighbor saying hi. It's it's something scary, right?
Yeah.
So we lean into that sort of suffering place. It's much easier for us to lean into the suffering, be a victim. It's much harder to not be and be positive and happy and take the good things out. And so I think in life you have to try, as much as it's difficult, to not lean into that sense of suffering.
Yeah, but it's almost, you have to be aware that you're doing it, because sometimes I can get super anxious about something or find myself ruminating.
Yeah.
And then I'll just be like, when I'm in tune with my body, I'll be like, we're literally tense. So first of all, let's just take a breath and actually just relax all of our limbs. We've got the tools. Let the feeling flow through you. It will pass, as will everything. I think we have to give ourselves enough credit. We are stronger than we are told we are by society and all of those things. Like, we are very strong humans. When you feel an emotion, you can just let it flow through you. You don't have to be like, no, I shouldn't feel this. I don't want to feel this. Just feel it. Just feel it, and it will pass. And then you can go about your day.
How did your dad die quickly?
Cancer.
That old fucker.
Yeah, it's not a good one, is it?
It's not a good one.
No. But it was 2 years. So he got diagnosed when I was 18. He was in and out of remission, and then he passed Christmas Day.
I'm really sorry. You've just
all right.
It says but grief, back to back is like it's tricky.
Yeah, I guess it's happened when I've been quite young, 20 and 24. But again, I think it's part of my story, and it's allowed me to be more vulnerable than I've ever been in my life.
Yeah.
And it allowed me to connect with everyone in my life on a way deeper level. And I've had people in my life like, oh my gosh, when I eventually experience grief, I feel like I'll be safe around you.
I think this is why your music is so amazing.
Thank you.
Because as you said, what you do is you encapsulate feelings and emotions, and you're very honest. You one of your songs is about coming out as queer, and that's quite a bold thing to talk about in a song, right? Because it's a very personal thing to you, but you decide to make music about it.
Yeah.
Which I think is amazing.
Yeah, that's why I make music in the first place, and why I love music, because it is therapy. And there's something about, like, it could be really hard for someone to say something, but to sing it is easier, in a way of a poem. And I just found, I think, again, not in a mean way, but our lives aren't that unique. We're all in the same simulation. We're all on the same earth. So music is a way, I think, to connect people to each other, because there might be someone sitting in their room who's isolated themselves and is like, I'm the only one going through this thing. Like, life is just awful. I can't, like, I don't know why this is happening to me. And then they can slap on a song and someone's talking about that exact scenario and being like, oh, the song has literally been written for me. I'm not alone in this. Maybe these things do happen to everybody. It might be a really awful breakup or a death or something, and being able to listen to a song where someone else has experienced that exact thing and being like, oh my God, I'm not alone, is such a comforting feeling, especially as someone who feels different from everybody else and wanting to seek connection in every way possible.
That's amazing. So, and that's why you connect so much with your audience, the people who love you, because they connect obviously with you so well.
Yeah.
Talk to me about autism and ADHD. So ADHD, firstly with ADHD, let's start there. How did that manifest itself? How did that happen? How did you get the diagnosis as a kid?
So I got my ADHD diagnosis when I was 21.
Wow.
The relationship I was in at the time, she was like, you are showing all of these traits that I think you really do have ADHD. And I was like, what are you on about? No, I don't. And then they looked it up and I went, oh, maybe I do. Maybe I actually do have this. And then I went to go and get a diagnosis and do the assessment, and they were like, yeah, you have ADHD. And then when I told my mum was like, what? Maybe I have ADHD because I do all of these things.
Was it a helpful thing when the diagnosis happened?
Yeah, it was, because with both diagnoses, it just gives me, I give myself more grace in situations. I think before I would beat myself up so much because I think ADHD in girls especially shows itself completely differently to how it does with boys. And
in what ways?
So in school, for example, when you think of ADHD in general, you think of like the boy in the corner who's just like super loud and it's like shaking, can't keep still, and he's just like yapping and always just doing something. But then there could be a girl literally sat next to him underneath the table, legs shaking. She's like playing with her hands. She's like struggling to focus on what the teacher's saying. But usually neurodivergent girls are still super smart and can still meet the deadlines and still get things done. But you just don't see the journey it took in order to get to that end sort of result. So it's like, even now, I could have a task to complete and I just will look at it and I just go, God, I can't do it. And I'll wake up and go, we've got to do this. We've got to do this thing. We've got to do it. Everyone's asking for it. We've got to do it. And I go to do it and I just go, I can't
What does your brain do when that happens? Because I know what mine does, but I want to hear
It's
what
just like paralysis. I just look at it and I just go, I actually cannot do it. And then if someone asks me to do it, like my manager would, like she'll go, have you done it? And I'll just go, well, I'm not even doing it anymore. I won't do it. I wasn't going to do it then, and I'm definitely not going to do it now. Now you've asked me to do it, I'm not doing it at all. And then it will be like, you have to do it right now because they're asking for it right now.
I'm not.
What if I don't?
Yeah. I'm not.
What happens if I don't do it? What happens? Am I going to die? No. And then like when
if they said, I won't like you.
then I'll do it.
Yeah, I'll do it.
Once it's like I absolutely have to do it, then I'll just get a mad head and I'll do every single task I've ever meant to do in like 10 minutes. So it's like it's either one extreme or the other.
Have you ever taken medication for it?
I have, but I just didn't really find it really worked for me. I just found generally just exercising and eating better and just having a bit of a routine of set things that I always do more helpful than the medication.
You have to be quite disciplined though in that area, right? So with the training and the eating, and that's really where just waking up and taking some medication, I suppose, is much easier than that road, especially for someone with ADHD.
Yeah, it's a hard thing. I think the only reason why I've gotten to this point is sometimes you need like a shock thing to happen, or something like drastic in your life to happen for you to just want to make a change. So for me, it was like my granddad passing. I was like, I was waking up at 6 a.m. every day, super anxious. And then I would be like, well, I can either lay in my bed anxious and just feel stressed, or I can go on a walk. So then I just would go on a walk. So then I started, and then I would feel the whatever it is, serotonin or dopamine or something that came from just being outside and talking to myself. And then I was like, well, if I'm waking up at this time anyway, why don't I just go to the gym? And it was kind of like, maybe I'll just start embracing a new change. And then after you do something for, I guess it's like a month or two or whatever, it starts to just become part of your routine that if you don't do it, and then you're like sad, you're like, why am I sad? And you're like, oh, I didn't go on a run today. Or, oh, I didn't go to the gym today. So it's like sometimes it takes something big in your life occurring for you to actually want to make that change. Because before that, I was just like,
How old are you when your grandfather died?
In April. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
That's all right. See, even things like this, I'm too neurodivergent for my own good.
But that's okay. It's fine to be that way. You don't defend yourself. There's no need.
Yeah. I mean, he was 89. He had a long life. The way he went was the way that everybody wants to. You're on your deathbed and you look at everyone that you've created, you take like your last breath and then you go. It's like what everyone could want. So I think throughout this year, it's like been a super defining moment in my life because I've just had to deal with good old fashioned grief, which I learned is just love. So anytime I'm sad or I have a wave of grief, because it just comes randomly, I just remind myself that I'm just feeling a load of love without a place to put it yet.
That's an amazing way to put it.
It's exactly what it is. I think it's not. I think it genuinely. I think grief is just so much an overwhelming amount of love, which is why we end up crying and we feel like we're feeling really sad. But I just think we're feeling so much love that we can no longer place to this person anymore, and we don't know where to place it yet. And over time, as you say yes to more things and you open yourself up to receive love and give love, you find new places to put it. And obviously, you'll still have waves of missing them because you wish you could give them that love, but it's just all love.
You're so in tune, and why? And this, I really don't want this to come off patronizing in any way, but you're 24, right?
I am, yes.
Your emotional intelligence is
Thank you.
uber high.
Thank you so much.
That's okay. You're welcome. It's your certificate.
Thank you. Thank you so
there
much.
you go. Well done. Okay. And
thank
that's
you.
the end of the podcast. But it is. You're so in tune, and for someone I would consider quite young, it's a bit of a superpower, because it's a superpower but also a curse, because it means you think so deeply but also you understand things much easier. Where did you get that from? Why did you learn? Was it something in your life you had to learn quickly? You had to understand emotion?
Yeah, again, I think because, I was undiagnosed autism until last year. And I think I've always struggled with understanding people, emotions, why we do what we do, why we feel what we feel. And I've always kind of been obsessed with like monks and people who just seem to like not let life rock them. They sort of just surrender to everything and they accept the ebbs and flows and highs and lows of life. And I was always like, I want to be that type of person. Like, I find life so overwhelming. How can I not? And I've always been interested in just spirituality and mastering yourself. And again, when my granddad passed, I just did a massive deep dive into reading a load of books, and just learning like how everything, I'm going to sound a bit kumbaya, my lord.
I love that.
But I learned that everything is a mirror. Every relationship with someone is a mirror. And I learned...
Explain, what do you mean by a mirror? Because I know what you mean, but someone listening may not.
For example, if you find yourself kind of always in toxic relationships, you only meet people where you've met yourself. So if you don't view yourself to high regard, you will attract somebody that also doesn't view themselves in high regard. So then you're not going to treat each other with the respect that you both deserve. Whereas if you meet yourself at a place where you've done the work to know how something makes you feel, like you could be in a relationship where someone brings up something and instead of blaming them, you're like, wait, this has triggered me. Why has this triggered me? Let me do a deep dive into what this stems from. And you start to just look at things as less as like, so many things are happening to me, and you start to think of life as coming from you and everything is your perspective. So if inconveniences happen, it's just an inconvenience. Doesn't mean that the universe is out to get you. It can just mean that this thing happened, and everything is how you react to something.
I'm going through this at the moment, like literally at the moment, understanding how everything's a mirror, and because I was triggered by so many things, right? You know, especially in my relationship with my wife, where she would get angry for something, and of course the closest person to her would be me, and that would happen. I would get triggered because she was angry, because I was always dubbed a naughty kid. So I would think that I'm being told off again. So I would get angry because I'm being told off for something that's not my fault.
Yes.
And and I'm realizing that was that pattern that I was into until I finally put the mirror on myself and said, wait, hang on a second, why am I doing this?
Yeah.
But it took me to 30s. Sorry, it took me to 29.
Took you to 36 years of age.
36 years of age.
But you get there when you get there. Everybody's path and journey, it goes in a different way. Like, I think I realized my people pleasing tendencies and just general desire, again, not to be in trouble, would cause me to tell little white lies about things. Because when I was younger, I would get in trouble. If I told the truth, I'd get in trouble about certain things. So then I was like, okay, so maybe I should, maybe tell a lie then. And then you grow up telling little white lies, and then you end up in relationships, and they go, why did you lie about this little thing? And I go, oh, I thought you were going to tell me off.
So like what? Give me an example of that.
It could be something as simple as
To make you sound more interesting, you would give white lies, or
no, it's genuinely, it'd be I don't do this anymore, but it's like a safety thing. It's kind of like if someone has shown that they might be upset by something, or you don't know how they're going to react, I would just be like, okay, well, maybe won't tell you this thing that I've done. I won't tell you, and it's nothing to the extent of like cheating or things like that. It's just like, I just won't tell you this little thing that I've done then. But then when you find out I haven't told you, they're like, why did you lie about that? I'm like, ugh.
That is so good. I know exactly what you're talking about. This sounds so strange, but prime example of me, I used to do the same. I used to tell white lies because telling the truth in that moment was so much more difficult.
Yeah.
So I'd rather not tell the truth then and to tell a white lie because I'm sure they'd find out in the future. But that future was far away. So so I don't need to live in the present moment. It's easier to lie.
Yes.
And I used to do that all the time because it's people pleasing technique.
It is.
I remember when I was a kid and there was a party called the Feathers, which was like a young person's ball, and tickets to this party were quite hard. I said to, I reckon, 30 people, I had tickets for them.
So you did that so that they could like you?
Yeah.
Right, okay.
The day before, I had to let down 20 of them.
Oh my gosh.
Because I only had 10 tickets.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and I used to do that all the time. I used to lie, like little white lies. People say, "Oh, can I come to this?" or certain feelings, or "Hey, do you want to come to hang out with me this weekend?" Yeah, sure, fine. I'll do that. Because if I also rejected people, then I thought they would feel bad and also reject me. So I didn't want to do that either. It's a very strange technique.
It is, but I think conversations and dealing with people anyway is like a tennis match. Like it does need to be a safe space on the receiving end. If you are with people who, when you do decide to tell the truth, make it a safe space, then you feel more comfortable to tell the truth more often. Yeah. But if you're met with when you do tell the truth, their reaction is a certain way, especially for people pleasers. I think trying to find secure people who can just respond in a secure way to anything you say is so ideal for breaking out of the white lies and maybe being dubbed as like not an honest person, because they're making it a safe space for you to share that,
Totally. With autism, when you said that you were always analysing, you always sort of felt that you were, I suppose, maybe different in the room. How did it manifest for you, autism? How did you know that perhaps you were potentially different to others?
I think the fundamental thing with autism, and why most people who end up getting diagnosed with autism, especially later on in life, is genuinely feeling inherently different from everybody else. You just feel like you're doing life wrong, and you feel like there's like, for me, it just feels like there's like hidden cameras everywhere, and like someone's just going to be like, stop, that wasn't the right way to say that. Let's do that again. Let's say that again, Katrina. Let's do that again. And I'll go, oh, sorry. So most of like my life, I just felt very different from people. I struggled to connect with people and speak to people, and I was such a sponge when I was younger. Luckily, I had an older sibling, so I just copied everything she did. How she acted, her sense of humour, which is why if you meet her now, she's like, I just moulded you into me. You are just me, but 6 years younger. And I'm like, yeah, because I didn't know what I was doing. So then after I got my ADHD diagnosis, I was like, something still doesn't feel all the way correct up here. Something else is going on.
Something else
is happening. I don't want to know what it is. And then I started doing some more like research into autism and how it shows up in girls. And And I was like, I really identify with this. Like even when I'm speaking to you, I'm really conscious of giving you eye contact. But usually if I'm listening to somebody or like talking, I'm not looking in the person's face. But I'm like, I have to look at you. So therefore I'm like, look. So there's like so many social things that I've been conditioned to do and learn, or I'll be in a group and like someone says a joke and laughs. I'm like, I don't find that funny, but I'll just ha 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 ha. Laugh along, and it's just sort of like somehow going through life, just sort of going, okay.
Oh, no. So then you feel awkward, right? Because and then that gives you a sense of social anxiety. So then situations give you complete social anxiety because you think you're going to do something wrong because you don't feel like you're fitting in.
Yes, correct. And I think the only reason, I think one, I'm late diagnosed, but I also, I loved films growing up, loved musical theatre, loved everything to do with the arts. So I think that helped me come out of my shell more. And also made me kind of have quite an animated voice and how I speak. But that's just based on the things that I watch and the things that I've consumed, which I think is the case for a lot of autistic people who vary on the spectrum. You might meet someone who they speak like, oh my gosh, you've watched this show and that is how you just communicate and speak. And I'm the same, yeah, because I just recite film words all the time, just random films. I just recite them because I was such a sponge because I was like, how do I exist in the world? Let me watch films, let me watch TV shows. Because I just found people confusing and scary. So I would just like watch TV and film and animations, and that was where I started to develop my personality, which is just all of those films.
So what was the films?
Oh, well, we've got Shark Tale. Oh, it's me and Shark Tale. I could recite most words from that. Yeah, me and Shark Tale are like this. One of my other favourite films.
Shark Tale's animation, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
One of my other favourite films. It's called Meet the Robinsons. No one seems to know about that. It's the best animation film that I've ever seen in my life. It came out in 2007. It's random, but it's fabulous. I also, not to make you feel stressed out, I was obsessed with Made in Chelsea.
Were you?
Yeah.
Oh, that does stress me out.
Does it?
Well, only
I
because...
could recite so many lines.
Go on, give me some.
Oh no, one's quite bad. It was at the dinner party.
Yeah.
This is the early season. The early season was quite fab.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
It was
great.
really juicy. So there was one dinner party, and I can't remember who said it to who, but someone, I can swear, right?
Yeah, you can swear.
Someone called someone a fucking fat turkey. That was crazy. Or it was when, I think it was Millie, where she went, this is what you've done. This is what you've fucking done to her.
Unbelievable.
And smacked Spencer across the face. And in school, me and my friends would act that out. We would act out that scene over and over again. Me and my sister will do it still to this day. Still to this day. Yeah, or when he goes, oh, what's the thing that Spencer says? And he's like,
why would you...
when you allow me to cheat on you.
I was like, sorry, what?
There was some crazy, crazy times, man. And then Louise tried to smack Spencer, but he learned from last time and dodged it. I just thought, whoa. Or when Lucy was like, why is everyone up in my grill? I was like, who says grill? It was just so many words. Oh, gosh. Made in Chelsea was a beautiful show. It was just a really, really, really great show. Really, really great. Or when Spencer didn't like Andy. Oh,
God, it's so good.
I loved Made in Chelsea.
So good. Spencer learned from a boss and dodged
He
it.
did.
Yeah, he did. He got
She wanted to get it, and I thought, oh, Louise, you're too small as well. You can't reach him. And then he just dodged it. She was like, ugh. What a time to be alive. That was a crazy time.
The song Free, right, which is about coming out. Why do you title it Free?
I think the chorus just was like free, and I was like, let's call it that. But it's a freeing thing. I think the song itself is me coming out to my mum. Mm-hmm. And although I have the most accepting, loving family, at first there was just a little bit of fear that my mum had of just like safety-wise, if you're, you know, too loud about your queerness, especially with the career that you have, there might be people that want to cause you harm, and so she was kind of like, maybe don't share it too much. And so when I was writing the song, I was like, no, I'm too far gone now. Like, and you were the person I was this most scared to share this with, and now I've shared it with you. I'm free. Anybody else, I don't really care. And I think that song is one of the reasons why I do music in the first place, because I still get messages from people saying they used that song to come out to their parents. They just sent it to them, and their parents could understand what they were feeling better. Or they're in countries where it's just illegal and they can listen to that song and be free within their head. So I think the free is it could be internal or it could be external. It's just that feeling of finally accepting yourself and stepping into your truth.
Yeah, which is like that sense when you find you're behaving in the way that you truly are.
Exactly.
It's true. It's this when you feel most liberal. That's when you feel free suddenly, right?
Absolutely. As soon as I came out, I just learned so much about myself. I was like, wait, how I've been dressing has been for validation from men. I don't care for their validation. I don't want it. So maybe, how do I actually want to dress? How do I actually want to exist in the world? How do I actually want to be? And I just started to exist for myself, which naturally just radiates in everything that I do because I'm being my authentic self.
So when did you realise you like girls?
So I went to an event like November 2019 and I got really drunk, and there was this other like lesbian artist there, and I was like to her, sometimes I have gay thoughts, but I'm not gay. And she was like, okay.
Okay. Thanks for spilling that on me.
She was like, well, it's okay if you are. And I was like, well, I know it's okay, but I'm not. So don't worry about that. And then I woke up the next day and I was like, why the hell did I say that? Why have I ever said that? Why did I say that? Do I feel that way? What? And then I had a few more months before lockdown happened that I could just push that to the back of my head. Still tried to date men. Funny enough, the last man I dated prior to coming out was like, oh, the girl that I was last seeing that came out as gay. And I was like, well, you don't have to worry about that with me. You don't have to worry about that. That's not me at all. And then I did. And then I came out.
He must be like,
so what the hell is wrong with me?
What am I doing wrong?
What am I giving off? Why am I attracting lesbians?
Why am I turning everyone gay? I don't really get it.
Yeah, that's basically his life. I felt for him,
love
I
that.
felt bad.
Don't worry, you don't have to worry about that with me.
Don't worry about that. A month later. All right, guys. Hiya. Hi, everyone. But then I realised, it was actually through social media. It was like TikTok was at the time when the algorithm was just being really loud.
Yeah.
I was just scrolling and then it would be like, you're gay, every so often. Just TikTok, that would just be like...
TikTok was silly.
Yeah, yes. I would scroll and then it would be like, if you're watching this, you're gay. And obviously, things can only touch a nerve if it's true. So I guess as it scrolled and it said, you were gay, I was like, am I? Maybe I am. I think I am. And then I started to see different sort of creators that were queer and they were girls. Mm. And I was like, oh, I think I find these women attractive. And I realised, for me anyway, I'm not one of those queer women that enjoy straight women or want to see if they can no. If I know you're a queer woman, I will find you attractive. If I know that you are a straight woman, you are not remotely desirable to me. Really? In any way, shape or form. So I think that's why it also took me a minute to realise whether I liked girls, because I wasn't around queer women. And then once I did, it just spiraled from there. I thought I was bisexual. I wasn't. And I was like, yeah. And then once I got into my first relationship, I was like, yeah, I'm not. I will never, ever be with a man ever again.
Have you ever had your heart broken?
Yeah. Have I? Oh, brother. Wow.
You want to talk about it?
I mean, out of respect for the other person, I won't.
Okay.
But I have had my heart broken and women loving women breakups are hell on earth. I thought I was going to die.
Yeah.
I actually thought I was going to die. I woke up. I woke up and I was like, I'm in hell. This is awful. This is awful. I went to my mum's room, laid on top of her, and I was like, I think I might die. And then my mum was like, yeah, when I had my first breakup too, my mum walked in and saw me just rocking on the floor, just screaming and crying. And when she told me that, I stopped crying. I went, sorry, what did you just say to me? And she was like, yeah, I was screaming and crying and rocking from side to side on the floor. And I was like, oh, okay. This is a universal experience then. Okay. I feel a little bit safer.
You need other sort of validation from outside sources.
Because I was like, Mum, this is hell. Like, this is awful. And then she was like, yeah, no, I've been there as well. You will get through it. I can't tell you when, but you will.
It is, for anyone who's experiencing a breakup right now, it is the worst feeling in the world. Mine was so bad when I had my heart broken. I think I had my heart broken once when I was like 15, 16. And the whole thing was chaos. But then in the morning, I went and got into the shower. And I thought it was a dream. But then I realised it was a nightmare. And I was on my hands and knees and I punched the ground. I honestly, when I honestly,
sorry,
on my
you
hands,
were on your hands and knees in the shower,
like in the little queue in the shower, and I went, no, and punched the floor of the shower.
The no before is
no.
what's being. Oh my goodness!
Yeah,
wow, that'll do it to you. Nothing beats the shower cry. Where you're just like, your tears become one with the water and you're just like, what is my life?
Yeah, but also I don't face the shower, I face away. So the image of me.
That could be an album cover.
Yeah.
No.
No. But before I do it, just me in the shower.
Just in deep sadness.
Slightly hunched.
Honestly.
Sitting on a chair in the shower.
Do you know what? When you come out the other end of it, and you're just like, I was a lunatic then.
Yeah. It changes your whole chemistry in your brain.
Yeah, it does. It does. But it's also, it means you loved someone really deeply, and your body is adjusting to the fact that you can no longer love them.
Are you past it?
Again, I think life is a wonderful thing. I don't really like when people say, moving on or getting over something. I think something at the start of that, at the start of breakup, I always think like, how am I going to be able to get over this? Because all it is you've loved someone for so long and you now no longer can love them. I think my biggest struggle was the dynamic shift of going from this person was my safe person, someone I could unmask around, to no longer, our conversations are going to be really like cold. And I can't know anything about their life and they can't know anything about my life. And that dynamic shift was really hard because when I love people really deeply. And then over time I accepted it's like, you don't have to, it's not about stopping that. It's just embracing your new life and embracing and being open to other things that life have in store. And just affirmations helped me a lot.
Yeah.
Affirmations were my best friend. Every day I would just go, I released myself. I think there's a film, Eat, Pray Love.
Yeah, it's great.
Where she's like, oh, but I miss him or something. And he's like, yeah, you can miss him. And every time you do, just send him love. Just send love his way and go about your day.
It's so true. Affirmations for me have been a complete game changer in so many ways.
Mm-hmm.
Kat, I have enjoyed this whole conversation.
So have I.
It's been really amazing. And what I now know is before you go on stage, if I see you again, I'm just going to come up to you and say, so what's the meaning of life? And then
you'll take out my ears. Well, I missed the intro because I'm just yapping away.
Yeah, you're amazing. You truly are. You're amazing.
Thank you.
And you're such an inspiration to so many people, so many young people, and just a way to live life and be free and be yourself. Mm-hmm. And also it's okay to feel awkward and to feel different in certain ways. But I just love it. We like to end the conversation with 8 questions. You ready for this?
Hit me.
What's a saying or phrase that always makes you smile or cheers you up?
Every day the sun won't shine, but that's why I love tomorrow. Glorilla.
There we go. Best compliment anyone's ever given you?
Your aura is really nice. Anything to do with energy or aura, I'm like, oh, thank you so much.
I ditto that. It's amazing. What scares you most about yourself?
How big my feelings can be.
That's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, but like when I have a big breakdown, they're big. And it's just like, whoa, chill out, man.
When was the last time you cried and why?
Yesterday? Maybe the day before? Why was I even crying? I think I honestly was like agitated. I was overstimulated that day, and I think I knocked my when the doorknob humbles you, and I just like, oh, I've had enough of this day. I've had enough, and I just shed a tear.
What's something you can't let go of?
Soft mints. You know, treble soft mints. Green or blue.
That's a great answer. Mm-hmm. What's your guilty pleasure?
My guilty pleasure.
Made in Chelsea.
Well, sometimes it is Made in Chelsea, but it is actually Geordie Shore.
Out of nowhere. Is it really?
Made in Chelsea, Towie and Geordie Shore were my shows growing up, but I can rewatch Geordie Shore. I'm rewatching it now.
You from the beginning?
Yeah.
You're not.
From season 1 to 11, I will rewatch over and over again.
What turns you off?
People who are mean to hospitality staff.
Very good. What turns you on?
Intellectual conversation.
What do you like most about yourself?
I think I'm quite funny.
You are very funny. Last one, favourite swear word?
Have you ever seen that Miranda Cosgrove interview where she goes, probably fuck? But I actually think maybe it's like shit or something.
It's coming up.
But my favourite one is Tracy Beaker when she says bog off, but that's not a swear word.
Cat Burns, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.